Welcome all, Boone here from EWPRO, getting straight into the weekly outlook, starting with the DXY. We've got that WX, we're in this wave Y, I'll be looking for an X2 and then a wave Z down. On the H4, we're in this C down. We've got this like A, B, we're still in this wave C down. It's starting to look like it's starting to end, but it still can get down to that 100 fib. On the H1, you know, we're getting all this bearish, bullish divergence, right? So very difficult to sell. I'll be more interested in the buy, but we really need to see this go and break that low again, and then we can look for a buy. So ideally we get another one down in here, nice impulse up and a buy setup, and I'd be looking for that buy up to this 38.2 for the daily X2. It's been very difficult to trade this week though, because we're just getting all this sideways movement. Market's not really moving at this stage. AU on the daily. So we have gone and broken that top. So we're not going to get a wave Z down. We've taken out that possible bear hidden. So now I'm just looking for an A correction, B, and then we'll be looking for a C up. On the H4, we're getting this like A, B, C up. We're getting all this bearish divergence here. So it starts to become risky to buy. We're waiting for that larger correction on the daily. On the H1, I'm sort of looking at this as a possible B wave, as like an A, B, and then we get a C as a larger running or expanding flat, and then we get a little bit more upside. Or else this just falls over. Either way, I'm really only interested in the sells. It's still, there is no sell setups on it. This is still looking bullish, you know. So this may give us some sort of a more upside in here, and then impulse down. I'll be looking for a trend line break, you know, and a little flag or something in here to sell. And then I'd have to wait for the 100 fib and see if we get a bounce off it and a buy, as this is the flat, or it just keeps on going down. And if it keeps on going down, well, we're in that trade. So looking at EU, again, they're all very similar, the majors. You know, there is a possible wave Z down, but I'm pretty much ruling that out now. This correction's becoming too large, and we have broken this top here. So I'm just looking for a correction like AU and then more upside. But we really need to wait for that correction. So the market could be sideways for, you know, quite a while, 3 or 4 months, in that correction. At the H4, like, there's a couple of different ways I can look at this. This can be an extended wave in here, like at WX, extended wave Y, then we get the X2 and the Z up. or I can look at it like I've got it here. This isn't the best. I mean, we were looking for this wave Z up, and it's hit both the targets. But like I said, this can be an extended wave Y. Then we get an X2 and a Z up. You can see here a lot of sideways movement, very choppy, very difficult to trade last week. We can sort of look at this as some sort of an A, B, C, and we may get more upside. I'm more interested in the sells because we're getting all this bearish divergence. It gets risky trying to buy this, and if you are buying it, it's just scalping, breaking the top, just scalps until you get that sell set up. Yeah. GU on the daily. So this one here, we got the 5 down. We lost all the bullish divergence. So I was just looking for a correction in here and then more downside, but we went up and broke that top. Once we broke this top here, I was just looking for a correction and more upside. We are on the H4 still in that wave Z. I put this trade idea out, well, on Trading View over here. It's very slow, but it's starting to get there. Up to the first and the second target. We have gone and broken that top now, so it becomes risky to buy here because we just have broken that top. So that may be, technically, this wave Z can be finished at any time now because we have broken that top. On the H1, excuse me, on the H1, I sort of got a W, X, Y, X2, and we'd be looking for a Z up in here. So you'd have to go down onto the lower time frames and see what's going on in here. But I dare say we'll get another one up in here. And then we may get, that may be the end of wave Z. NU on the daily. So this is very similar. We've broken this top here. So I'm just, once this wave in here, this wave A here is finished, I'll be just looking for a correction and then more upside. H4 is very similar to GU. We were looking for these targets. You can see this on Trading View, this trade idea. It still hasn't got to the first or the second target. On the H1, this may become a lot more complex. We may get some sort of A, B, C up in here, A, B, C. This may become quite complex. Can't really put this with anything yet, so it makes it difficult. But yeah, this is still looking rather bullish. So if you do get a bullish setup, you could look for the buy up to the first and the second target. UY on the daily. So we've broken this low here, like I said, so that has taken out the possible bull hidden. So we're not going to, there still is a chance that we get a Z up. But at this stage, I'm just looking for a correction in here and then more downside as an A, B, C on the daily. We're looking for buys, we're looking for shorter term buys. H4, we're getting all this bullish divergence. So, very risky to be selling at the low. So I'm really waiting for possibly another one down in here, and then a nice bullish setup to sort of looking for that 50 fib retrace. On the H1, this was quite difficult because we got a nice WXY X2, but this Z down didn't go and break that low. So we're getting some sort of a larger correction in here for more downside. You know, because we got this sharp move down, you know, I'm sort of looking for an A, B, C, you know, to go and break that low. The only other thing is if this is a contracting flat in here. So we got an A, B, this is the end of wave C as a contracting flat, and you know, we can buy from there for just an A, B, C. It's been very difficult again because it's just going sideways. Very difficult to trade. The Swissy on the daily. So last week we ruled out, we went and broke this low here. So we ruled out the wave Z up. Now I'm just be waiting for a correction in here to the 50 fib and more downside. H4, this was hard because sort of I was looking for an A, B. I need a C up here to complete that B wave. We still never got a nice impulse up for this B wave. So then we get an A, B, C. Instead, it's just kept on coming down, down, down. And we're getting all this bullish divergence. So to sell, it's extremely risky to sell. And if you are selling, it's just scalping. You're just scalping to go and break the low. On the H1, you know, we do have bullish divergence. You know, it's not an ideal setup, buy setup. I'm sort of looking at, you can see what I'm looking at, an A, B, C in here as an expanding flat, possible expanding flat, and then we get an A, B, we get a C up, but it's bearish. You know, then you'd be looking for another sell after the correction, after we get this correction in here. The problem here is it's very risky to buy. We've already, this wave C up in here has already broken that, like this is the A wave and this is the C wave. So the C wave's already broken above there. So technically it can be complete and it can go and break the low. So it's very difficult at this stage to pick the direction. You'd have to go down onto the lower time frames. You may be getting some sort of an A, B, C in here, and you get another one up in here for that wave C, just breaking that top. It's really only scalping at this stage until we get a nice setup. Looking at the CAD, USD CAD on the daily. So we're looking for a correction of similar size over here. I was looking at an extended wave Y, WX, Y, X2 and Z up, but we never got that wave Z up for the extended wave. So now we could be going sideways for, you know, a very long time, for quite some time. This is the time factor here, you know. So we'll be waiting for a correction and then a Z up. It can be very choppy for a long time, maybe 6 months. So we have finished that wave Y. Again, you know, this may give us like an A, a B, C, and then we get an A, B, C, giving us that time factor before we get that wave Z up. And again, it may become even more complex than this, and more than likely it will. If we have a look at this first X, you know, it was quite complex, the correction. On the H4, we got that larger correction in here. So sort of looking at like an A, B, C. This is very choppy in here. So again, like I showed on the daily, more than likely we'll get some sort of a complex correction. So this wave in here may come and break that low, but I'm looking at it as a B wave. So we get some sort of an A, B just breaking the low, running or expanding flat. And then we get some sort of an A, B, C, like I showed on the daily. Yeah, very difficult to trade at this stage. You know, H1, we're getting all this bullish divergence. I'll be more interested in a buy, you know, a break above that top, bullish setup, and you know, even if it's just for an A, B, C as a running or expanding flat, and then you could look for the downside. But yeah, at this stage, there really isn't no setup unless you, I mean, looking at price action, if you went down to the lower time frames, you may be getting some sort of an A, B. If you get a C up in here, where you could look for a scalp just to break the low. I'm just scalping though. GBP Japan. You can see what I'm looking at. Nothing's really changed for a long time. We're looking at that WXY, looking for a correction, X2 and a Z down. Looking at the H4, this can become more complex here too. Looking at price action, we got impulse down here. This could be some sort of a flat in here. We get another one up in here for our B wave. We get an A, B, C. And then we get an A, B, C. Then we get an A, B, C. Finishing off that B wave. And then we get the A, B, C. So again, you know, this can become quite complex. On the H1, it's looking bearish. You know, this is looking A, B, some sort of A, B, and A, B, C up in here, and then more like we get an A, B, C. Really, you know, to finish off this wave here. Yeah, so you really, again, you're really only scalping, and you'd have to go down onto the lower time frames to see if that is a little correction in there for more downside. EG on the daily. So we're looking for that C down. We're looking for that A, B, C down to the 100 pip. It may not get down to the 100 pip, but we want it to at least go and break that low of wave A, this wave C. H4, we got the 5 up. We got that WXY, X2. We got that Z up, bearish divergence. Like I said, we got that lower low, and we're just looking for a sell. You know, so on the H1, you really need to sell. You know, sort of waiting for a correction in here, we're starting to get bullish divergence in here, so we may get a correction, and then look for the sell. If you get any bearish setup, yeah, look for that sell. Gold on the daily. I should go to the weekly on this one just to show you again what we're looking at. You know, we're looking for that wave Z up, WXY. We've waited for this correction here. The time factor's there, and now we're getting that wave Z up. So we're targeting that 123.6 and the 161.8. You can go back and have a look at my trading view idea. I put out a trading view idea around this area somewhere, that we're going to get this correction, and then we'll be looking for waves that up. A couple of years ago, I put that out because this correction's taken a couple of years. On the daily, we're only looking for buys. We're looking for a correction. We want to see a correction on the daily, and then we can, you know, all jump in and buy up to these levels. H4. So we got that like WXY, X to Z up. We're getting all this bearish divergence, so it's very risky to be buying up here. There is possibly another wave up on wave Z. We got a time factor here. We're getting that time factor, so we may get a wave Z up. If I just take that, this is this here, and if we look at that, the time factor's there now, so we may get a Z up. You can sort of see what I was looking at. I've had this drawn for a while. Hasn't followed my arrows exactly, but yeah, sort of looks like more bearish in here. I'll just remove all this. So this is looking bearish at this stage, like we've got some sort of an A, B, C in here. So we get an A, B, C up, and then more than like A, B, C to finish off that wave X, and then we'd be looking for the buy. Silver on the daily. Yeah, so we're looking at that complex correction, like I've mentioned many times before. So we got some sort of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and that impulse down. That can complete the correction for a 333 complex correction. If it does come down here and give us another one down here, well, then it's a 335 complex correction. So it still is possible that we do get another one down. This is looking rather bullish up here, though. So this may be the end of the complex correction. Very hard to tell in complex corrections when they're over. So on the H4, you can see we're looking at WXY. We're waiting for that correction still. So we're waiting for this time factor, and then you can start to look for the buy. For that wave Z up. It's still too early for me to draw the targets on this because we're still in this correction here. Looking at the last piece in here on the H1, sort of got some sort of WXY up in here. So this is more bullish. Yeah, unless you sort of you'd have to be looking at it like some sort of an A, all this is a B, and we got a C down here is running flat. If you got a little buy set up on here on the lower time frames, you could look for at least an A, B, C, you'd have to be careful because, like I said, on the higher time frame, we still are waiting for that time factor. So more than likely, just get like an A, B, C up in here, and then another one down. It'd be definitely worth looking to buy that though, you know, because it may just take off, and that may be the end of the correction. You know, WTI on the daily. So we got that WXY. I'm sort of looking for an A, B, C as some sort of a flat in here, or some sort of a correction in here for that X2. So then we can look for that wave Z down. You can see what I'm looking at. I've had this up for a couple of weeks now, a few weeks. So there's a couple of scenarios here looking at price action. This can be an A, B, C in here, and we get an A, B, C, and then we get the A, B, C to finish off this B wave. And then we get that C up to fill in the time factor. But at this stage, it's a sell. The problem here I see is, the biggest problem I see on this pair at this stage is, this is the top here. This one isn't a top, so this is more of an A, B, C in here. So we may get some sort of an A, B, C up in here, and then we get the larger A, B, C. But at this stage, you know, if you do get a sell set up, you can look for that sell for the first, you know, what I was looking at the first time, you know, this C down in here. But you can see it sort of on this time frame. This is like an A, B, C. We may get another one up in here, and then we get that A, B, C. So if you're trading this pair, you just have to be mindful of that. Looking at Bitcoin on the daily. So, like I said a couple of weeks ago, a few weeks ago, we can only, when we were down in here, I said we can only really buy once that top's there been broken, because this was looking so bearish. Very risky to buy this, you know, until that top's been broken. It's been broken now. So we're waiting for a correction. We're waiting for a correction and then more upside on the daily. On the H4, we're looking at that WXY, and then we'll be looking for an X2 and a Z up. We're still in this wave Y. So you're going to be, if you're trading this pair, you're going to be on the sideline for a while, because you need to wait for this correction. You need to wait for this time factor here. And then you can look for the buy setup. So it may be a couple of weeks, a few weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. Excuse me. Before you can look for that buy again. On the H1, we got a lot of bearish divergence. You know, getting a lot of bearish divergence. So really, I mean, it's still looking rather bullish. There's no sell set up on it at this stage. But if you're buying, you're only scalping, I would be more interested in like trend line in here, get another high, break of the trend line and a sell set up, and I'll be looking for a sell down to the 38.2 retracement of the wave Y. If I just put that on, you're looking at that 38.2. So this is your target here. You know, you're looking for a correction in here down to that 38.2, and then if you get a bounce off of that, and a buy setup, well, then you can buy for that wave Z. S&P 500, we got the 5 down. We got 5 up in here, so I'm sort of looking for an A, B, C as a correction in here, and then we get like A, B, C. On the H4, pretty much like I just explained, we're looking for a correction. Look, I'm looking at this as an A, a B, and then we get a C down, and then more upside. It hasn't fallen over yet, hadn't given us a sell. We were looking for that buy. We're looking on the H1, we're looking at WXY, X2, and a Z up. It's hit both. Well, it's hit the first target, hadn't quite hit that second target yet. We're getting bearish divergence on the H1 as well, like in here as like an A, B, C in here. So really, I'd be looking for a trend line break in here. I mean, this wave in here more than likely isn't over, but wherever it ends, I'd be looking for a trend line break and a sell setup to sell for that C down on the H4. AU 200 on the daily. Nothing's changed on this. We're getting that wave C up. Up here, I'm looking for that 50 fib retrace. We got the 50 fib retrace, and we're getting another move up in here. So I'm looking for an A, B, C. It's still got plenty of room up to that 100 fib. On the H4, this is where it gets a little bit more difficult because it's one wave on the H4 up in here. So really, we need a correction. Need a correction before you can buy. On the H1, we're getting a lot of bearish divergence. You know, there's no sell set up on it, but we're getting a lot of bearish divergence. So to be buying, if you're buying, you're just scalping, just looking to break the top and taking profit. Ideally, I'll get a nice, you know, a sell set up, and I'd look for the sell up when we're up this high for that correction. The DAX on the daily, it got some sort of A, B, C. I was looking at it as a running or expanding flat. There's no sell set up on it. I mean, in here, we are getting bearish divergence now. We can get some sort of we got some sort of a WXY, an A, B, C. If you get another one down here and then a little bullish setup, well, then you could look for that wave Z up. So that's something that you could look at for sure, like looking for that wave Z up. The FTSE on the daily, this one's gone up and broken the top. I still have to, you know, even though it's looking at A, B, C, then looking at an A, B, C. So it's still looking for, I mean, there's no bearish setup on it, you know, but I'm still sort of looking for more downside on the daily, or at least a correction, at least, you know, at least a 50 pip retrace, you know, a larger correction. If it's going to go up more, I'd like to see like a 50 pip retrace and then, you know, more upside. So either way, I'm really only looking for a sell in a correction when we're up this high. The H4, we're getting that bearish divergence. there is no sell set up on it, but we're getting bearish divergence. On the H1, there may be something. The H1, I'm actually looking for the buy for a possible wave Z up. We got a, yeah, we're looking for that 38.2 last week by the look of it. So now we do have a trend line break in here. The 3 down with bullish divergence, and this is looking rather bullish. So I can put the targets up on this one for that wave Z. It doesn't look too bad actually. 38 point, yeah. So you'd be looking for this target up here, your first and second target, 123.6 and the 161.8. It does look like it's rather bullish. You'd have to go down onto the lower time frame, see if this correction in here is over, because you get some sort of a, like an A, a B, or a WXY, X2, and a Z up to the first and the second targets. So yeah, definitely could look for, you know, a buy. So I hope you all enjoyed the weekly outlook. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you out there next week.